Narcissistic abuse is one of the most insidious forms of trauma. It really is the heart of complex trauma because it so often happens in relationship to what we hoped and dreamed for ourselves was going to heal our already difficult and complicated childhoods. I've been taking a break, and I realized I was regressing in the midst of a response to narcissistic abuse myself, and it just really inspired me. So I hope you'll join me as we talk now about our past, the traumas, the childhood, the wounds, our present, what's happening now, people we choose or think we're choosing to heal but often end up hurting us, and the good things we can do now, and hopefully some tools and healing and guidance for the future. So, welcome back. I'm going to meet you on the ground on my new meditation pillow. I'm trying to just pause and reflect, but I also want to heal, and I'm grateful to be back. So, let's begin. Hi, I am Dr. Kim Sage. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, and I've been away for a little bit. I needed to pause and reflect and sort of decide and figure out where I wanted to go here. And some things have happened, and I'm not going to go into them, but I want to just say this, that what I really want to focus on now is that if you are someone who had a past childhood trauma event, found yourself in unhealthy relationships as an adult, and want to heal, this is the channel for you. My new sort of mission and mantra is to really go by 3 principles in each video, either completely or in some way that really honors that we're going to talk about what happened to you in the past, what's happening to you right now, in the present, and what you can do and tools and knowledge and things to acquire to help yourself heal in the future. So let's get into what happens to you if you have had a relationship with a narcissist and you are either in it still now or trying to understand what happened to you. And all of these videos, some kind of hair, all of these videos are going to be talking about narcissistic abuse, mama trauma, papa trauma, all the things I talk about, but presuming that you already had a complicated childhood. So if you had a beautiful, wonderful childhood, you can still find this channel helpful. I don't know what's happening here, like a hair. But it really is, especially for those of you who don't understand or didn't understand what happened in childhood. So I want to eliminate that and also help you understand what's happening now, like I said, in the future. The first thing that happens with us, and this really is true for any level of narcissist, I believe, covert or communal or antagonistic, whatever it is that covert, it doesn't really matter. At the core, the first thing we often struggle with is a loss of identity and a broken spirit and soul. It is truly this well of depth of pain where you just don't even know who you are. Whatever achievements you had or things you did, it's hard to find. You may have given them up for the narcissist or whatever. Or maybe it's in a toxic parent relationship with a narcissist parent you're still in. But it's like a broken spirit and a sense of loss of self. Number 2, feeling trapped, afraid, and worthless. Feeling really bad about yourself at your core. So you're stuck in it, but you can't seem to think about how you might climb your way out. And this often happens because many people will give up their career, their time, whatever, in the service of the narcissist, often because I do believe that toxic childhoods shape us to be very empathic, caregiving, loving, caretakers, compulsively so. And so we willingly and freely sacrifice ourselves, thinking that it's for the greater good. But then we end up feeling trapped, and that core of not feeling good about yourself reinforces the trapped. There's no way out, and it's all my fault, right? That's that shame-filled, I'm unlovable core. Number 3, walking on eggshells. If you feel like no matter what you do or did in that relationship, you're always trying to navigate your way around, upsetting them, pleasing them, not upsetting yourself, that's a huge symptom and sign. Number 4, dread at being with them. Dread around intimacy. This is over time as it plays out. You're hearing their car in the driveway, thinking about how they come home from work and don't engage with you, or whatever it is, you actually feel a sense of relief oftentimes when they leave, and a kind of deep dread when they return. And that can also, like I said, especially be true around intimacy, where intimacy is often very conditional with them. And so you're not treated well if you don't provide what they want or need. And so that creates another cycle of feeling dread and not great about yourself. The next one is often feeling depleted, exhausted, and engulfed in their world. And so not only are you sacrificing self, but you are exhaustively doing so to the point where you feel like you have maybe a chronic illness, fatigue, whatever it is. And it feels like it's just all consuming in your body and your mind and your spirit and in the relationship. The next one is sort of the opposite of that, which is feeling chronically anxious and panicky. It's like you're often overanalyzing, overthinking in your head. You're sort of scrambling. Your nervous system is completely out of whack. And that often goes, unfortunately, with your own toxic childhood and already being kind of loaded up with a highly activated or collapsed nervous system. But something about the narcissist makes you feel panicky a lot of the time. The next one is overanalyzing as part of that, but second guessing yourself, feeling crazy, right? It's like you think you know what's going on, and then you feel like, but maybe you don't. Maybe you're just not getting it right. It is that just sort of vortex of feeling like, because you've often been gaslit in 10 different million ways, that you just feel like you don't trust yourself to make decisions, to think about things, and you feel like you're like maybe losing it sometimes. And that could also apply to memory and concentration, forgetfulness, things like that. The next one is feeling guilty. The flip side is you feel like you will tell yourself, oh my God, they've done so much for this family, or they let me be a stay-at-home parent, or they let me go work while they stayed home. Whatever it is, you have this sense of guilt, like you don't get to feel the things you feel, and that you're somehow betraying them if you talk bad about them or feel bad about what they really do to how they really show up in the relationship. It just doesn't feel good. You feel guilty. The next one is social withdrawal. Basically not even withdrawal, not even engaging with social relationships and or minimizing, lying, not telling the truth about what's really going on, and oftentimes not even to yourself. You don't even really know that you're in it until years past. That's especially true for covert narcissists, if you've been with one of them, is that because of the way that things play out, it really is an unpacking that takes a lifetime, and often in the beginning of the relationship ending, you don't think they're a narcissist, you think it's your fault, you sort of think that something was off, but you don't really understand it until you really do, and then it can be really devastating to understand the systematic degradation of who you were in that relationship. And lastly, feeling abandoned and alone in the relationship. This is a very, very common one. You feel like you've never, been so alone as when you've been in this relationship. And oftentimes you are physically alone. They will leave you to do the hard work, the chores, the parenting. They often want the more glamorous part, whatever it is, the easy part. Or, they'll be the head coach if the child plays on the one sport they love, but everything else you're on your own. But at the end of the day, feeling very alone in a relationship is extremely common with narcissists. Why I wanted to start with this topic, actually, I wanted to really go into how we can be sort of triggered back into a CPTSD type PTSD response as a result of narcissistic abuse. But I wanted to first kind of like go back to using this video as the core of the trauma of being with a narcissist, especially if you've already had a toxic childhood. So we're going to talk more about how the toxic childhood ties in, how you can be triggered and have these sort of very emotionally regressed or emotional flashbacks, or a lot of symptoms of your CPTSD or PTSD can reemerge. For example, if you're having, let's say, a co-parenting issue, if you have to see your parent who's a narcissist for the holidays, if you have to do something with your narcissistic ex, if you find yourself needing them in some way, if the door has been opened in some way for the narcissist in your life, the one you are, as I'm speaking now, let's say perhaps out of that relationship, what happens then? We're going to talk about what happens when you're in the relationship, and maybe right now you're just realizing, oh my God, I married a covert narc or a narcissist, and I'm in the relationship, and I don't know what to do now, and I also had a really toxic childhood, and so I don't want to be divorced, I don't want to be alone, I don't have the resources, I don't know what to do about it. I want to talk about toxic people and our toxic childhoods, and that may include at times talking about untreated borderline parents, untreated narcissistic parents, parents with more antisocial behaviors. It really is about those people that have the more personality disordered behavior that they never treated and were never aware of or really worked on. There might be some parenting practices that we no longer do. I'm not talking about that, although those can go really nicely with toxic parenting. But what I really want to get into is helping us understand our trauma, past, present, and future, with our childhoods and our lives today. And so that's the goal of this video. I hope you found it helpful. And I want to talk a little bit more in the next few videos about what to do when you start to find that you're in it. I will say today, just watching this video is triggering, to try to give yourself some space to take a walk, to just validate your pain. The hardest part sometimes is to just honor that, yeah, that's really hard to hear. I'm really in that space and I don't know what to do with it. As I said, I recently realized that some narcissistic stuff had reemerged and had triggered me a bunch of ways, in addition to feeling a kind of overwhelm with posting and how I wanted to show up. And, you know, there's so many options, it can feel overwhelming. But I really do want to be here and share with you the things that I always say I wish I had understood. And I just hope to also form a type of community where you know that you matter, and then I hear you and see you. Even if I don't always respond, I do read the comments. I'm trying. It's really, really hard to nurture a full practice, online courses, and social media and YouTube. But I really am only doing it because I love doing it and I love sharing with you. And I do get something out of it. I'm not sitting here saying I'm completely selfless out of it. It makes me feel good to share with you. And I hope that you know that you matter, and I appreciate you so much. If you're new here or you want to know more or you like this video, please check out my link down below for online courses and checklists. The checklist is free in the online course that's free. And I hope you will know that I also have courses just in general on how to heal your inner child and your inner parent, and what to do if you have possibly had, you know, more toxic type parents. It comes from a place of my own experience and my own clinical education and experience and passion, and really my expertise in working with people who have had really difficult childhoods and are climbing and finding their way out, I should say. So thanks for being here. I'm not sure what I'm going to post. I'm going to try to post every week. I'm readjusting my schedule. I need to figure out what works so I can really show up in a way that allows me to just really feel like I'm showing up in the most authentic ways, and in a way that's like alongside you. I don't want to be up here as like Dr. Sage, although I truly value my doctorate and it means a lot to me, especially because I got it in the middle of raising 4 kids, mostly alone. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done. So I'm proud of that, but I also want to come in here and meet you, beside you, as someone who understands childhood trauma, adult trauma, and you know, all of those things we talk about here. So thanks for being here. I will see you soon. Please stay safe and well, and if you want to subscribe, I would love for you to do so. See you soon. Bye-bye.